I know you're in the latest time zone right now of all of us, so
That's true.
Wanted to make sure you were awake at the very least.
Just tell me to shut up. You don't have to put on your intro.
Oh yeah, we have clips that once you go too long,
he's trying to play you off already.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously.
You're listening to Around the Galaxy.
Welcome to Around the Galaxy, the Star Wars fan talk show. I'm your host, Pete Fletzer, and along with my co-host, Nick Milkey, we take you on a trip behind the Star Wars fandom, the people, the stories, and the passion that keeps this galaxy far, far away alive. This week, we're getting a little monstrous. It is spooky season, and I mean that in the best possible way. We're joined by two absolute legends of movie magic. Academy Award-winning makeup and special effects artist Howard Berger, and entertainment journalist, author, and professional pop culture enthusiast Marshall Julius. Now, Howard's name might not be immediately recognizable to you, but trust me, you've seen his work. He's the co-founder of the KNB EFX Group and has been bringing nightmares and daydreams to life since 1977. His resume includes the Chronicles of Narnia, The Walking Dead, Army of Darkness, Kill Bill, Evil Dead 2, and pretty much every movie where you thought, how the hell did they do that? And then there's Marshall, a man whose passion for film and fandom is as contagious as it gets. He's a writer, broadcaster, quizmaster, and collector of colorful plastic things, and an endless sort of joyful movie trivia. So if you're not already following him on Twitter at Marshall Julius, well, what are you doing? You're missing out on one of the most entertaining feeds in the galaxy. Together, they've teamed up once again for their brand new book called Making Monsters. It's a fascinating, heartfelt look at the art and craft behind the creatures that make movies magical. From the gory to the gorgeous, they dive into how monsters are designed, built, and given life, and why they continue to captivate us after all these years. Now, a quick peek behind the curtain. This conversation was recorded early in the morning for Nick and I, late in the afternoon for Marshall over in the UK, and even further west, Howard was on set in New Mexico. So 4 different time zones, 2 continents, and 1 killer conversation. And speaking of books, a quick personal note, my own book, Who Owns the Myth, comes out on November 11th. It's part mythic study, it's part memoir, it's part pop culture reflection, and it looks at why Star Wars means so much to so many of us. Pre-orders are open now at whoownsthemyth.com, and I can't wait for you to check it out. Make sure to check out the SSWnetwork.com for links to all of our socials, show info, our merch store, and hey, if you want to keep things going and support us, well, you can hit that Join the SSW Network button to become a patron. Well, all right, it is time to talk monsters, makeup, and movie magic. So here, without further ado, is our conversation with Howard Berger and Marshall Julius, the creative minds behind Making Monsters. We are joined by Marshall Julius and Howard Berger, the authors of a brand new book. I hold it here in my hot little hands, Making Monsters.
Yay. Hey, both of you have got it.
We both got the copies, and I just got to say, I was telling you got a copy too, Marshall. That's good.
I do. I have a copy.
You must know somebody. We're joined by Howard and Marshall, the authors. Probably better than I can. Howard, why don't you tell us just what's the elevator pitch of who Howard Berger is? Actually, I should have him tell me who Marshall is. But
oh God, I don't know who Marshall is. Some strange guy that's been following me around for 22 years, bugging me about writing books. So no, I mean, I'm co-owner of KNB EFX Group Inc. with Greg Nicotero for the last 38 years, and I've been doing what I do, which is makeup effects and makeup designer and department head for 42 years. I started when I graduated high school when I was 18 years old and started working for Stan Winston on Aliens, and it's been going strong ever since. So, yeah, I mean, I've done tons and tons of movies and tons of TV shows, and so much. I have an Oscar that I won for Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, Chronicles of Narnia, and then was nominated for Hitchcock. Heavily involved with the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences, and the museum in LA, which is great. and which just opened up an incredible Jaws exhibit, which I'm super proud of.
Oh, yeah.
And
Wow.
but yeah, I mean, it's been a lifetime of monsters and movies, and this is a book that our first book, Masters of Makeup Effects, was kind of spun off of a book that I grew up loving called Making a Monster, which Sue Roy and Al Taylor wrote. And I remember my mom bought it for me for probably for Hanukkah one night. And that came out in the early 80s. And I just obsessed about that book. And that's really why I was like, oh, they should do a sequel to this book, a follow-up. And it just seemed to be perfect for, the kid that walked around with that book in his backpack for decades, write it, and luckily I met Marshall. But yeah, no, it's, it's been a life, an adulthood of monsters and creatures and makeup effects, and running a giant, enormous effects studio with Greg. And yeah, it's been wonderful. It's been a dream come true. It's nice when you can, have a hobby and a strong interest and turn it into a career is a really special thing. And yeah, I'm grateful every single day. Trust me, I wake up every morning and I'm thankful that I get to do this. And I'm thankful to wake up at 4 a.m. and go to work every day.
Right.
Put in a good 15 to 18 hours every day. But yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell. I just have great people that surround me, from my wife Miriam to my wonderful children, Kelsey, Travis, and Jacob, and that keeps me going. And they support this crazy life that I've had forever and ever. So it's super nice.
Fantastic. Great. And Marshall, tell the world a little bit about yourself.
I am a professional appreciator, I suppose. I spent years as a film critic, the enemy, creative people. But it all came from a place of kind of fan love, and working with Howard on these books has given me more of an in. And now I feel like certainly I would not want to go back to being a critic. I mean, I think that good film criticism has tremendous value, but I think once you start working more with people who are in the industry, you can't just then go off randomly slagging people off anymore. Yeah. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't, and that's fine. I think that when you hit a certain age, I think when you hit about 50, if you've somehow managed to survive as a journalist in this ever-shifting landscape, then they say, okay, well, now you're entering your film historian phase, which sounds particularly wanky, but there you go. Now that's sort of the space that I occupy, because I still don't have a proper job and I'm not dead. So it's like they don't know what to call me. So it's like, oh yeah, you're a film historian. I still call myself a word monkey, as you can see under my name here. That's sort of my official designation. I just like making with the words, I just think I always had a knack for it. And if I couldn't be writing, I really don't know what I'd be dying in a ditch somewhere, I think.
Surrounded by all those toys.
Spent in service to fandom. My whole life I've just grown up loving films and kind of genre TV, and it's just I'm a collector.
Yeah. Yes, you are.
I mean it's just like everything is all part of the same mad world, and since we're talking about families as well. It's like, thank goodness for my wife, Ruta, keeping me a bit more grounded, because otherwise I would be so away with the fairies. It would be like, I wouldn't even have a toe in reality if not for her. I like writing books. I like writing books with Howard. I love writing books with Howard. Because we've made 2 books that I'm really, really proud of, and I think will stand the test of time. And that, when you're, I will let you ask us some questions, but
no, you're making it very easy for us. It's just great.
I think, for me, it's like, I think filmmakers they want to make a film that is special to people in a way that the films that were special to them are. It's like you want to make something that adds to that continuity of classic films or films that people love, and for me it's the same as an author. I want to write some books that people would love. The things I grew up with, some books, and Howard did. We all have favorite books that if we would read over and over and flick through the pages, and that it would be like one of the favorite things on our bookshelves, and we would just always have it out. And I just always wanted to create something like that. And I feel with Masters of Makeup Effects and Making Monsters that we've done that. And certainly the feedback that we've gotten from people is so positive and nice. I'm feeling all sort of warm and fuzzy inside.
That's great. Without a doubt. Well, let's jump in there, because that's a great way to transition into talking about this new book, Making Monsters. I love the tagline, Inside Stories from the Creators of Hollywood's Most Iconic Creatures. We've all grown up with monsters. We've all grown up with these kinds of things as a part of childhood, as a part of watching movies. Tell us about this book, Marshall. We'll start with you. Tell us about this book, kind of the inspiration behind it. We've tagged on it just a tiny bit, but let's dig deeper into the genesis of this book and where y'all, started and how you came into it.
Well, Howard and I, our first book was Masters of Makeup Effects, and it's basically we interviewed just under 70, was it Howard's? Just under 70 people, mostly friends and co-workers of Howard's. Not entirely, but mostly people that Howard had a great history and working relationship with, people who were, kind of friendly and open to discussing, kind of every aspect of their kind of lives and careers. And we had great success with that. It's very conversational. It's a collection of quotes, of wonderful stories and pictures. And when we finished that, and the focus was very much on makeup effects, so not just monsters, but also age makeups, likeness makeups, and but the number one audience for that book are monster kids, and so when we were asked about doing another one, it was like, why don't we just do monsters? It's like we felt like we'd done makeup, like I felt like we kind of written a book that people really loved on that, and we wanted to do the same format. We love the interview we love the just the quotes and stories and pictures. That there's not a lot of fat there, that it just cuts straight to the good stuff and the fun stuff. But we felt like we wanted to do something a little broader, so we did monsters, because this way we could include things that we weren't able to include in the first book. Like we couldn't talk about Ray Harryhausen in the first book outside of him being an inspiration to make up Masters, because it wasn't makeup what he did, so it didn't really count. But for this book, he's got his own chapter, because we love Ray Harryhausen, and Ray Harryhausen is incredibly super important. I mean, probably more important than anybody else in the history of kind of monster making in terms of influence and just pound for pound creating more amazing filmmakers and inspiring more amazing filmmakers. I don't think you could beat that. So, and we were able to talk to composers and Charles Bernstein, who did the Nightmare on Elm Street, and Michael Giacchino, who of course is just a wonderful kind of genre kind of a filmmaker and composer. And we were able to speak to writers and directors and not just talk about monsters, but monster movies and monster movie making and monster movie makers that inspired them. And it's just like wall to wall monsters, every aspect of monster movie making. And I don't know if that's an elevator pitch, because I think we've even got
a tall building
by the time of the end of that. But that's basically what the book is.
Howard, you want to give us some more detail, your perspective on the book?
Yeah, absolutely. No, listen, it's fun because I have so many colleagues and friends and so forth, and I felt like both books, Masters and Making Monsters, was a great opportunity to catch up. And, Marshall had been hounding me for years and years and years. I'm probably like almost 2 decades to write a book. And
that's what word monkeys do, I think.
Yeah, they do, stalking. And I just always was busy. And when the pandemic happened was when Marshall's like, okay, you have no excuse. So, you're not going to go, nobody's working, the world's shut down. So that's the perfect time to reach out to all your friends and let's write a book. So that worked out really, really well. And it was super fun to talk to people, especially because everybody was housebound. So it was like, 2 to 3 hour conversations with my friends. And I really loved it. I learned so much about each one of them that, was more than I ever knew. And then the publisher, well back out of the UK, reached out to us, and our editor on Masters, Ross Hamilton, was like, "Hey, they want you to do another book." It was kind of a backhanded compliment. They're like, "We were really surprised your first book did so well," and we're like, "What the what?"
Yeah, the most bizarre thing anyone's ever said.
Yeah, it's like we were so surprised your book did so great. And we're like, well, thank you so much. And they're like, we want you to do another one. So Marshall and I talked and came up with this idea. And we waited till there was another pandemic, but it didn't happen. So we ended up utilizing the unfortunate actors and writers strike that hit us. And we used that to figure out the book really fast and then reach out to like over 80 people, or just about 80 people rather. That we really threw a very wide net, actors, directors, composers, as Marshall was saying, and did it again. And it was great because we were all out of work for the most part because we were waiting for SAG and WGA to figure out, what they're going to do. And we had a lot longer time to write this book. We had just over a year, which was nice. But boy, a year goes fast. Marshall and I were like, we got a year. We got so much time to write this. And of course, 2 weeks before the book's due, the publisher's like, hey, we want the book now. We're like, but we have 2 more weeks in our contract. They're like, we don't care. So Marshall and I, finished it off. And listen, this book, both books, Marshall and I's fingerprints are all over it. This isn't it. And it's really hard to write a book, Pete, because you have a book coming out. And it's like you said before we started, it sounds like a great idea, before you start writing it. And you're like, geez, this is a lot of work. So because Marshall's in the UK and I'm in the States, there's an 8-hour difference. So I would get up at 4 a.m., my normal time, make a pot of coffee, hop on with Marshall, and we'd review the pages that the publisher sent us, that Ross sent to us, and we would rework everything, that we felt. Because listen, nobody knows better than us, what the context should be and how this should all go together. Right. And they did a great job. It just sometimes the puzzle pieces didn't quite fit. And so we literally would sit there and go through the chapters that they sent us and cut and paste on Photoshop and rework it. And like, this goes here, let's use this photo, let's use this, enlarge this. So it made more sense to us, And so we did that with every single page. So much so, which was nice, they gave Marshall and I design credit. Oh, wow. Along with the designer. And that was great. We were real happy about that because I'm like, we designed this. And that was Marshall. Marshall's like, hey, we've spent every single morning for like 3 hours redesigning everything. So I think we've earned it. And
my God, we were colossal pains in their ass.
Yeah, I mean, they must, The poor designer, the poor designer. I mean, I think he hated us from Masters. We never met with him.
He wouldn't talk to us.
He wouldn't talk to us. I felt bad because he's a really good guy. Ryan's a really good guy. But I think we just, in his mind, probably bastardized all the work he was doing from the cover to the last word in the book. Marshall and I are like, nope, we're not doing that. We're doing this. So and that was
literally the back cover, all the words. It's
everything.
Like there's nothing that we just were like.
Yeah, because some people will write a book and just hand it over. Yeah, that's all us figuring everything out, and we really pushed it down the publisher's throat.
This was what I wanted. The actual head, the
header of the book on the front.
Yeah.
And in the end, they switched it round, and we let them have that.
We let them have the one thing. Everybody loves monsters. I've actually never met anyone who said, "Oh, I don't like monsters." From the top to the bottom. And it's like people love. You talk to you read you listen to Steven Spielberg, and he loves monsters and
yes.
Gore. Like we did a film called Amistad, and Greg Nicotero was on set for that, and we handled the portions of the mutiny in the beginning. And Spielberg could not get enough blood. He just kept like, more blood. And Greg spraying blood all over the sail of it, and all that stuff. And crazy stuff, and guys are getting stabbed, and we had all these gags, and he just was like a total gore hound, and he loves that stuff. But everybody does. I mean, even down to, Tom Hanks. I worked on a film called The Green Mile, and we were talking one day about monsters, and Tom Hanks loves Jason and the Argonauts, and he's a massive Ray Harryhausen fan. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
And he said that one of his greatest things in life was to be able to present Ray Harryhausen with his Governor's Lifetime Achievement Oscar. And that was beyond thrilling to him. It was like, oh my God, I get to meet my movie idol,
Yeah.
And this is coming from Tom Hanks. So it's super, super cool. You just meet people when you're on set, and, they're just like, oh yeah, crazy about, I wanted to do that. I wanted to be a monster maker, but I ended up being a giant, Oscar winning makeup artist, or actor rather, a giant Oscar winning actor. So,
and there's a great picture of that in the book of him with Ray Harryhausen. And so you've y'all have encapsulated so many of these great moments. And I want to dig in a little bit on what you're talking about. Everybody loves monsters. Looking through this book, like, I forget how many monsters there are. There's the, the classics, there's the newer stuff you're familiar with, but reading this book kind of activated that part of my brain that remembered what was the first monster I saw as a kid that had an impact. And like probably the majority of people, it was the creature from the Black Lagoon. It was the Gill Man.
Right.
And so my question to you, and we're going to stick with you for a second, Howard, but I want to hear from Marshall too. What makes a great monster? What is that thing that grabs you, that clicks, that reels you in?
Well, for me, obviously right away, like, I'm looking at it going, God, that's super cool. So when I did see the creature from the Black Lagoon when I was a little kid, it blew me away. Like, I didn't think that it wasn't real, but I knew it, but I was so enamored with how it looked and what it did, and how it moved and the silhouette of it. And I loved it so much. I was so obsessed with it. My mom was an artist, and she, on a giant piece of butcher paper, drew a 1-to-1 scale creature from the Black Lagoon with his hands up. And she put it on the back door of my bedroom door when I was a kid. And I would look at it all night long, and I loved it so much. I sure wish I had it still, darn it. But it was really, my parents knew I was crazy about monsters. So I don't know, there's something about the creature. I love it, and then around the time I had seen it, I went to, my dad took me to this store down in Hollywood, like magic and costumes or something. And they had a Don Post creature from the Black Lagoon, head and hands. There was like $40. And I begged my dad to buy it, but we were kind of poor when we were growing up. And he's like, we can't afford $40, Howard, for a rubber mask. I'm like, I don't need to eat for a week, please, Dad. But I was so fascinated with it. It was so beautifully sculpted and created. But there's just something about it. I love the fact that, I look at monsters like they're victims of circumstance. Like, I don't ever think monsters are bad. I think they just get, they get the shit end of the stick, literally. Like, the creature was fine living in the Amazon until these idiots show up and try to capture them. That's kind of the storyline with these poor monsters. I feel bad for the monsters. I feel like they're my friends. I had a huge imagination as a child and dreamed of like knowing these monsters. And, I had all the Aurora, monster kits up on my shelf. And I had like 20 creature ones because I just couldn't get enough. But, I don't know. There's something about the creature. His hands are really cool. He's got these big claws. His hands are a little bit oversized. And I love all the scales. And I don't know. It's just a perfect monster. And I'm kind of glad that they have not remade that property yet at Universal. I'm fearful that they will. Yeah. And they'll mess it all up with like a CGI creature or some shitty thing like that. I would, like, if they came to me and said, okay, we want to remake Creature, how do you want to approach it? I go, exact same design, exact way they did it. It's a guy in a suit, And of course they'd say absolutely not, because in their minds it needs to be something that, it can,
tentacles need to come out and
100%, or like climb on a wall and for no purpose at all and defy gravity and physics. But I love it. But I just love monsters in general. Another film I saw, which I really loved, and I just saw it again, was The Thing with Two Heads, which was with Ray Milland and Rosie Greer, and they have like two heads on it. But in the beginning of the film, there's a two-headed gorilla that escapes and runs down Hollywood Boulevard, and it was Rick Baker in the suit. And when I saw that, my brain was spinning. I'm like, oh my God, look how real that is. The two-headed gorilla. You know, you look at it now, and Rick like really kludged it. He even says like, I just like got fun fur from a fabric store and tried to make this thing as fast as I can. But it's dynamite, you know, and that really inspired me too. So I just think all monsters are cool. I'm excited about things, and even now, you know, like I love seeing like when Guillermo del Toro does something like, you know, Guillermo has this Frankenstein movie coming out in November, and I saw him in July, and he's like, "Oh, would you like to see the monster?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want to see it. I want to see it within the context of the film. I don't want to see, oh, this is what it looks like in a photograph or whatever." So I'm super excited to see that movie, and anything that's a fun film and has cool stuff in it.
One of the things that you wanted to do is make a book that paid homage to the books that you love, right? Like the people who make those. I have to say that, and Nick referenced it as well, this book brings me literally back to when I was a child, not just because of what's in it, but because of the way I've been reading it. I would love to tell you, we got the our copy from the publisher, and I sat down and I spent 90 minutes just going through everything. No, this has been as Nick was saying before, carrying it with me, leaving it in different places around the house, taking the time to just, read one story after another and look at the pictures. You have captured that sort of thing from when I was a kid, when I would have that book where we would get so beat up because I would bring it with me everywhere. And, for me, it was a lot of the Star Wars storybooks and things like that. But you said you wanted to do that, but was that a conscious sort of approach to building this book? Like, I know Howard was saying you wanted to keep the story short, but how did you go about sort of deciding what was going to go where and how this was going to flow?
We had faith in the process. That we would get as many great people as we possibly could to interview. We got many amazing people from our wish list. Some people eluded us, some people are busy or, it's just not meant to be. But we kind of trusted that if we talked monsters with as wide a, with as wide a group of people as possible within this, sort of more niche area, that we would sort of cover all the bases. And, we divided the book up by monster for the most part. And rarely did I have to say, we don't have enough this monster or we don't have enough that monster, because everybody has favorites and everybody has films that mean something to them. And obviously all these people worked on a kind of wide variety of things. So I kind of hoped that it would even out and that we would pretty much touch on everything. But we haven't even started talking about Star Wars yet, obviously.
Well, and that was going to be my next transition. And I'm going to throw the passion that you both have comes through in the pages of this. And I think, to echo what Pete said about the different kinds of books, this gives me those vibes of the Star Wars books that I loved as a kid. And as I got older, like one of my favorite books still to just pick up and leaf through is the Lucasfilms Archives book. Because I can see, it's the segments, it's the little bits that you get to consume it along the way. You're not drawn into a big multi-page something. It's little bits and stories, and then something clicks in your brain and you go back to it later because you're like, oh, I saw a show, with the Bride of Frankenstein. There's something in that book. Let me go back and read what they wrote about it. It's such a great way to do it. I do want to, because you said the magic words, Rick Baker, I do want to throw, and I'm going to throw this one at Howard. Obviously, we're a Star Wars leaning show. That's what we do around here. 1977, Star Wars comes out, and Rick Baker works with the Cantina, and that was something that we've seen monsters along the way. We've seen scary movies and different things, but that, to me, certainly as a kid, was just a whole nother world. Like everything opened up, and there were all these monsters, all these creatures. Howard, did that have, was that an inspiration for you, when you were younger, as far as going into the career that you have? Talk a little bit about that.
I mean, you talk about it like it's pretense, but it still is a huge influence. But also, let's not forget, we talked to Phil Tippett, in the book, and I mean, you talk about the masters of Star Wars. So, talking like Marshall was saying about, American Werewolf and Thriller with John and Rick, here we got to talk to Phil and Rick about Star Wars. And listen, Star Wars is, I'm right now I'm on location in Albuquerque, New Mexico, It's, you know, you guys have super cool backdrops. I have a boring kitchen. But if I was at home in my office, you would see all my Star Wars helmets and my lightsabers and my just monsters and just all that. I'm obsessed with Star Wars.
We both are. We both are.
So when I saw Star Wars, my dad took us to the Chinese theater, you know, where it opened. And I mean, I had heard so much about it, and my mom had bought me the two record set album for my birthday before, and I listened to it till, I mean, I still have it, which I love, and I still play it on my player because it sounds great with all the little pops and hisses and all that stuff. But I would really listen to it and try to like imagine what this movie was, and plus seeing the Hildebrandt brothers poster, which is. You know, I love that poster and Jaws poster. Those are my two favorite movie posters of all time. I think they're incredible. And your brain spins when you look at it. And especially the Hildebrandt brothers, the colors are incredible. And I'm like, what is this movie about? And there's a guy in a giant helmet. And anyhow, when I saw the movie, I was, you know, googly brained. And of course, the cantina scene is incredible. I love it. I love it so much. And it's so fun to hear the stories of like, it was real haphazard. And it's like, I don't know, we'll make some masks, you know, and Rick Baker, you know, and his crew, Doug Beswick and all those guys, you know, made all these masks and working with Phil Tippett. My favorite creature in the cantina is the devil, that quick shot of the devil looking around, which is, I think it's Rick in that mask. So when I worked at Rick's studio working on Harry and the Hendersons, that was there on the wall. Oh, wow. And I was like, that's my favorite demon ever. I mean, I probably sculpted like 4 versions of that, which of course were all shit. But when I was a kid, because I was like, oh my God, you know, and another makeup artist, Dave Miller, had sculpted one that was really cool. And I was working for him at the time and on a film called Night of the Creeps. And for my birthday, he ran one out of his mold and painted it. And I was like, oh my God, this is the devil. You know, I was so excited. There's something about that devil. It's simple, but that's Rick Baker. Rick Baker's design sense is just like, he captures it in form, you know, in the silhouette. And that, I just love the smile. Like I never saw anything like that before. I love it. It looks so real to me. It's just a slip latex mask. That's also where my love of latex masks came from, was from the cantina scene. And I'm like, I know those are all just slip masks. They're incredible. They're so alive in the way Lucas utilized it, you know, and that's that guy with the big brain that is cool looking at Rob Bottin sculpted when he worked for Rick. But yes, Chewbacca to me was incredible. Like I tried to figure out like how did they do the mouth, you know, the lip snarl, and I just like I still have all my drawings of when I was a kid. I had a little sketchbook from 1977. It's littered with Star Wars drawings. Every page is like stormtroopers, Darth Vader, TIE fighters, you know, and then like there's a whole like a couple pages of just like this is how I think Chewbacca worked, you know, and it was like little pulleys. It wasn't that. It wasn't until years later that, you know, and Stuart Freeborn was responsible for Chewie and all the other stuff, you know, and there was an exhibit at LACMA, LA County Art Museum, about Stanley Kubrick, and they had one of the 2001 heads there, and it was splayed open, and it was like a tongue toggle. So the actor, in order to move the jaws or the mouth, the lips rather, could push his tongue on these paddles. Oh, wow. And that would snarl and make the different expression. It's an incredible idea. And that was the same mechanism he used for Chewie. And I'm like, aha, all these years I've been thinking it was something else, you know, and here's how Stuart Freeborn did it, which is incredibly innovative. But yeah, I think Chewie looks so beautiful. If you think about it, it's like all hand laid hair. And it's a perfect creature, you know, I love it. And the fact, you know, they all have personalities. I mean, we all love Chewbacca. He's part of, you know, we understand his heart. We understand his sensibilities, and, you know, he's I think a wonderful character. And, you know, and even if you watch the Star Wars Holiday Special, you know, you're still like, okay. And that stuff was done by Stan Winston. That's how I ended up finding out about Stan Winston, that Stan did that special. And I remember watching it, and I saw Stan Winston, and I had talked to my dad about it, and he's like, oh, well, I know somebody who knows Stan, so let me figure it out. And then I was like 12 years old. And then I got Stan's phone number, and I got to go visit him, you know, and wow. This is the guy that did the Star Wars. And yes, and when you're 12 years old and it's Star Wars related, you don't care if it's the biggest pile of crap that was ever made. And, you know, and here it is. We still watch it because it's such a catastrophe. And like, you can't even believe somebody said this is a good idea. you know. But no, just to circle back, all the creatures in Star Wars I love. You know, we all do. You know, my friend Jamie Kellman, you know, has done Star Wars makeups every single year, like on his kid or on himself, and we love Star Wars. You know, we love to see how everything looks. And also, I just want to say, when we talk about Star Wars, I'm really talking about Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. Okay, you know, and those are the ones for me. You know, obviously the prequels are the prequels. I like Darth Maul. I think he's cool looking and a really great character. And you know, that's all I got to say about those prequels. But for me, it's those three original films are, you know, captured my brain. When people say, oh, which, you know, we're real specific when people, and Marshall and I talk about this all the time. We're like, oh yeah, I like the third Star Wars. I'm like, there is no third Star Wars. It's called Return of the Jedi. You know, it's like, oh yeah, I like that second one. I'm like, it's not. It's called Empire Strikes Back, for Christ's sakes. You know, it's like the Indiana Jones movies. Like, we were
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, well, Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's not called Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Right.
And I'm like, I refuse to ever say that. It's like,
literally, just saying that makes me want to fly into a rage.
Oh, it drives me nuts. And that's like a Disney Plus brand. Like, we'll just throw on Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's called Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then there's Indiana Jones and the da-da-da. And I'm like, damn you all. So, but you know, I somebody was asking me, like, what's your favorite, you know, Star Wars? And and again, Star Wars. What was no, of course. I mean, the first film inspired me. Like, my brain was spinning in circles. But I love Empire Strikes Back. I think Empire is the most well-made of the three.
Correct.
I think it's beautiful. I think the storytelling is incredible. It looks amazing. I ditched school when that movie came out, Empire. It was playing in Westwood at a place called the Avco Embassy Theater. And I ditched school without my parents knowing. I took the bus to Westwood from my house in Northridge, and I waited in line 10 hours.
Oh my gosh.
But I was going to say, I was with my then girlfriend, and we waited and waited. And I was so happy, actually, after I saw the film, that nobody drove by screaming out, you know, Darth Vader is Luke's father. And nowadays they would ruin it all. You know, everything's ruined and destroyed. But you know, when that was revealed, I mean, the air of the whole theater was sucked out.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody was screaming, no, and it was like, those movies were incredible. You know, and the energy from the audience participation is like, you know, when did you ever stand up and applaud, you know, and scream and yell and, you know, boo and hiss, you know? It was an amazing time. And I was so happy to be alive and being able to see it. Matter of fact, that year, it's 1977, I had my bar mitzvah, and it was Star Wars themed, you know. And my friend Gene Oman's dressed up as Darth Vader in a homemade suit. The funny thing was, Darth Vader was like 5'2" because Gene was really small. But I still was like overjoyed that Darth Vader came to my bar mitzvah. So,
and Howard looked about 30 at his bar mitzvah.
I looked just like this.
Yeah, he had the beard. He was
a very grown-up man.
That's right. Yeah, I was very grown up. It was true. When you turn 13 and have a bar mitzvah, you do become a man. So
immediately, overnight.
Overnight, you're like, hey, you know. The next day, I think I said to my parents, like,
Chewie thinks he's hairy, but
it's like way more. And that was like the first Star Wars mask I bought from Don Post, was the Chewbacca mask, and I wore it all. I remember, like, as an idiot, me and my friend Mike Fisher, we both had Chewbacca masks, and we would go to the mall wearing a Chewbacca mask and walk around. And we got kicked out of a ton of stores. Like, can you please leave the store? But it's like, I'm Chewbacca. I'm wearing the Don Post mask, you know. And because I knew a little bit about makeup then. Like, when the hair started to fall off, I could have spirit gum and re-glue it and make sure, you know, like, some of the hair would come out. I'm like, oh, it's crepe hair. I can relay it, you know. So I was always fixing my Chewbacca mask. I wish I knew where that was, but. Anyhow, yes, Star Wars, massive influence, still is. I love it more than anything, and they're you know, Empire and Star Wars are two of my most favorite films of all time.
Yeah, and Marshall, let me kind of stay on this topic and go to you with a. I'll start as an observation and let you go with it from there. But one of the things especially seeing it in the context of your book, seeing this, it dawned on me that everybody talks about, Star Wars is a space Western and a space fantasy and a space romance and space samurai, but nobody ever calls it a space horror monster movie. And there are monsters everywhere. And even in the animated shows that have come out since, they keep with that sort of importance of monsters, as you guys were saying, not as much anymore. But did you as a kid recognize it as a monster movie as well as everything else?
Like Howard, I feel like my life began when I first saw Star Wars. It's I loved everything you said about Star Wars, Howard. I mean, we've had conversations about it before, but to just say, okay, Howard, do you like Star Wars? And just sit back, and it's like you're going to get a lot of enthusiasm. It's like nothing expanded my mind more, made me kind of more aware of the possibilities of things than Star Wars. There was like me before that, and then there was Star Wars, and then there was everything else. And you had it so much easier. You got it in May 1977. We didn't get it till Christmas. I mean, it's ridiculous. So I had the poster. I listened to the soundtrack. I read the book. I was a fan of that film for months before I even saw it. But my first memory of it, I mean, I remember thinking, what was I like? Nine. I just turned, was like 9, yeah. And I remember I loved the film. But even more significant was when we came out of the cinema, and in the lobby, they laid out, there were all these tables with all this merchandise. And that just completely blew my mind. It's like, Jesus, I mean, I haven't actually changed, but it was like, Mum, can I have the program? Can I have that poster? Can I have that poster? Oh, they've got badges as well. And I don't know if there was anything she didn't get me. And I did the whole of it, and posters everywhere. It was like Star Wars for me was... It was the film. It was the merch. It was just, I was so obsessed with it across the board. But always, I like the exoticness of it, and it's always been the creatures for me. Creatures and Darth Vader, and the human characters are fine and fun, and I like them all. But for me, it's the more exotic, the more different, the more other things are, the more irresistible they are.
So would you consider Darth Vader a creature design, a monster design?
Well, we in terms of when we did the book, we decided that we wanted to Hannibal Lecter is a monster, Nazis are a monster, Tocht in Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, these guys are monsters, right? And real monsters, like actual villainous bad guys who aren't our friends, who aren't, kind of like creature, the victims of circumstance, but actual, proper villains. So we thought we had to include those. So I think, I would call him more a villain than a bad guy than a monster. But you could totally, you could say that, the fate that befalls him, the character he becomes is completely monstrous. Absolutely it would fit within our kind of remit. I mean, I understand he's just trying to put some order in the galaxy. There's all these bloody space hippies thinking that they could just, do whatever the hell they want. It's like, I'm not sure. I think I'm probably more of an Empire guy. For the record, Ponda Baba is my favorite alien. Although obviously nobody called him that. I mean, it's just such a crazy retro, kind of sort of made up thing. In school, we all called him Bumface.
Yes.
Because I mean, literally, it's like there's a little tiny guy sitting back with his back to him and his butt just through 2 holes, and it looks like a butt face. So,
correct.
On a little side, Christopher Tucker, who's a wonderful old makeup effects lunatic, sadly no longer with us. We interviewed him and got very friendly with him for the first book, and he worked a lot on the Cantina sequence, and even had a hand in designing Chewie with Stuart Freeborn, his friend. And I went to visit him after the book came out, and to give him a copy of the book. And he told us that he was actually responsible for the design of Bumface, and so I pocketed one of my many figures of that character, and because I just wanted to show it to him, I just wanted to show that it's like my favorite character. I don't know what my end game was, thinking that maybe he would like take a picture with it or something, or I don't know, but I had it in my pocket. I like to travel with the toy. The two most memorable things was the first time he met me. He said, "Oh, I didn't think you'd be this fat, Marshall." That was the sort of incredibly charming man that he was. But I showed him the figure, and I said, I know that you designed this, and I just, it's like one of my favorite characters, side characters in the movie, and we all called him Bumface. And he looked at me like I was mad. Hey, I'm going to put this figure back in my pocket, and we will change the subject now. So just don't call me fat again, and we can talk about anything you want. Did I ever tell you the most horrific story, the most horrific thing that ever happened in my life? Yeah, I'm including some deaths in that, but even worse than that was when I went to see Return of the Jedi the first time. I don't know if I've ever I'm sure I must have told you, but it was like, we waited 3 years. This is completely on. I'll try and be brief. So, okay, I was desperate to see Return of the Jedi. Obviously, we all were. We waited 3 years. What was going to happen to Han? I was just so desperate to see it. So, it's the first weekend, and I'm supposed to. And my mum says to me, "Why don't you go and hang out with your brothers, with your brother Mark and Russell? Russell's not doing anything." So they're both like 10 years older than me, okay? So I'm like, 14 years old. And I'm going up to town with Mark. And I said, where's Russell? I said, Russell's going to join us. And it's like, well, Russell's going to come and we can all go and see Return of the Jedi together. And I was very excited about that. But honestly, I couldn't give a shit who was coming with me. It was like fine, he can come, and literally hit the I don't know. But it's like I didn't care. I just wanted to see Return of the Jedi more than anything. And we're queuing for it. And there's a big queue, and I'm getting so excited. I feel like I could just feel myself vibrating with excitement, right? But Russell's not turned up yet, and this is pre-mobile phone day, so there's no calling him and saying, "Russell, we're in the queue. Why don't we?" And I said to Mark, I said, "Listen, if Russell doesn't turn up, we'll still go and see the film, right? That's still going to happen, right?" And he's like, "Well, Mum said that we should all hang out together." And I'm like, "Yeah, I understand the sentiment of us all being together, but you understand this is Return of the Jedi, and that's like more important, right, than you." Your feelings or our relationships or anything." And he's like, "Well, we'll see." And he's just putting me under such stress. Even when I mean, literally, I've never forgiven him for this, ever. I still hold it against him. Still hate my brother Mark a little bit for that. Anyway, so we get to the cinema. We buy the tickets, but Russell has still not turned up. And I'm saying to Mark, I said, "Okay, look, we got the tickets now. We're definitely going to see the film, right?" And it's like, "Well, but I tell you what, there's a phone inside the cinema. Let's I don't even know if I can get through the story without welling up." But he said, "Let's see, we'll call Russell, we'll give him one last chance." We get inside the cinema, right? And I can hear the music begin to play. Like we left it.
This is already torture to me. This is torture.
And it was like, and it was like, "Oh, please, can we just go back?" He said, "You know what? I called Russell, but he's not answering. I really think we should go because."
Oh my God!
No.
I'm 14 years old, right? 14 years old, and he's like, and I think I got down on my knees, and I'm like, "Please, what are you doing? Do you not know that this is like I have to see this?" And he's like, "No, we have to go." And he dragged me out of the cinema, and I was standing in Leicester Square, and I just burst into tears. I mean, it was like I was 14 years old, bawling my eyes out at this, and I was so angry. I don't think I've ever felt like so upset about anything in my life, right? So we're driving back and to town, to North London to go and meet Russell. Like, I could care about any of them at this point. and we ended up going to a local cinema to see Android with Klaus Kinski. And it's like, fuck you, Klaus Kinski. I wanted to see Return of the Jedi. And I'm sitting there thinking with Russell. And I said to Russell, I said, you know, can you believe Mark dragged me out of the cinema? And Russell said, you should totally have just gone to see the film. I don't care if you want, you know, if you want to see it, I don't want to be, you know, and it was like, I literally could have murdered Mark. I could have murdered him. And because of that, you know, Jewish guilt is a big thing where your mom, you can always say, well, Marshall, I think you should do that because, you know, I never got guilted out again after that. I remember being so bitter about that. It was like, I will never let you manipulate me out of seeing a Star Wars film or doing anything I want to do ever again. But I saw it a week later.
Yeah.
I saw it a week later. And but it was like that week, that was just the worst week. That was I'm sorry. But that was just the worst thing.
No, this is the whole thing with Star Wars is these core memories, and it's more than the movies. It's like I remember where I was when I saw. Actually, now that I go back to it, all 9 of the numbered Star Wars movies, I can tell you where I was, who I was with. Was it nighttime? Was it daytime? And you know all those details.
No, I believe you. Well, what's more important than movies? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my core memories are either movies, talking about movies, you know, writing about movies, getting new toys. It's like all revolves around that, you know.
Yeah.
And Star Wars, what is it about Star Wars, that's like, I mean, there are lots of films that we're passionate about, but there's something about Star Wars. There's just some sort of magic in that. I just don't know. I think it's indefinable that it started. It is like a religion, but like a good religion, you know, except when people fight over it, which you know all about, Pete.
Well, I was going to say, if you want to know why I think people like Star Wars so much, just read my book, which is coming out November 11th. See, I can even plug myself.
Pete,
it's called Who Owns the Myth? Yes, it'll be available on Amazon and on our website here too. So
he has been fortunate enough to read it in advance.
Yeah,
I liked it very much.
I appreciate that very much. Coming from you, Marshall, it means a ton. So thank you.
Well, I have to say, this has been such a fun conversation. This book is incredible. I know that you guys have a bunch of stuff that you're doing. We're so thankful that you took some time to chat with us about it. But Marshall, I know you've got some events coming up, some things that, you know, you've got a big signing in October. Tell us a little bit about how the promotion is going for you guys with this book.
Do you want to take that, Howard?
Yeah, so we've got a couple, actually quite a few coming up. So the week of Halloween in Los Angeles, we have our first event, which is October 25th from 2 to 5. It'll be at the Academy Museum, which is on Fairfax and Wilshire. And you know, the great thing about these signings are it's not just dopey Marshall and I. We have like 20 contributors that are in the book that are coming to meet and greet and sign books as well. Really, really incredible list of people, and it keeps growing and growing and growing. And then on the 26th, we're doing a kind of through Dark Delicacy Presents, which Dark Delicacy is this amazing store for 30 years in Burbank, and recently the owners, Del and Sue, decided to shut down the brick and mortar, but it's still alive and online. So we're doing at the Emerald Night Books and Comics, which is their Sun store. We're doing another signing from 2 to 4 on October 26th. And again, another 20 or so contributors coming. And then I think I'm doing something November 2nd at Vroman's, which is in Pasadena. Marshall will already be heading back home with his lovely wife to the UK, but I think I'm going to squeeze it in before I have to fly back to New Mexico and get back to work for the last month of shooting. And then Marshall's got a great event coming up in November called the Prosthetic Event, which is super cool. We went to it last year to promote Masters. And so I won't be able to attend, but Marshall will be our representative there and talking about the book and signing. And we have a bunch of people that are in the UK that are in the book that are going to join us as well, which will be great. But it's been a blast. You know, we're going to do some signings in the UK and London. We're going to try to do an East Coast in New York. The beginning, both in the beginning of the year between probably February, March. The book is available at any bookstore. I'm here in Albuquerque, and they have them at Barnes and Noble here in Albuquerque, which is great.
That's great.
And they're all over the place. And then, of course, Amazon is a great place to pick it up as well. And, there's also, we have cool merch because we decided we love merch. And of course, Marshall needs to have a whole new wardrobe.
Right.
So our buddies, John Hernandez and his wife, Lisa, have a company called Funky Monkey, and they set up a site, and you can buy the t-shirts through that site, which is
awesome.
makingmonsters.org. And they're really great, high quality shirts. We made sure of it. And the decals are super cool. It's all silk screened on, and those guys are great.
Oh yeah, this has been through the wash a load of times already, and it's still.
And it's been worn probably 300 times prior to the washer, too. Marshall doesn't take off his shirts, his Making Monster shirt or Master shirts. So, no, but it's great. I mean, it's fun to get out there and meet people. And again, a lot of book signings are just the author, of course, but this because of what the book is and all the different contributors, it really gives us the opportunity to have people come out, like people like Dana Gould and, we're going to have, Marshall, why am I drawing a blank? The McCashes, Aaron and Mike McCash, who are an amazing makeup team, and
we got Tom Holland. We got we talked about
not the Spider-Man Tom Holland. I keep
the good Tom Holland, the one.
Tom Holland, who did Fright Night and Child's Play and many other.
Barbara Crampton is coming out to our Dark Delicacy signing.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We have some really super fun people, and then we're still gathering some other special guests. So. Really happy with that, and it's just a nice opportunity to see your friends and colleagues and hang out for a couple hours and sign books and talk about monsters. Bill Corso, so
they all bring their own books and they all sign each other's. It's like yearbooks, for them. It's
I just always write, have a bitch in summer, good luck in third grade, or good luck in 11th grade. So
where can people sort of get this list and keep up with it? Where's the best place to find out about where
we're going to be? We post on our Instagrams and Facebook, so we're actually going to post tomorrow the new list of people that are attending, both signings. So I think that'll be great, and we'll keep updating. Obviously, as we get closer, we'll really start pushing it, and hopefully so many people will show up. I mean, last time when we did the Dark Delicacy event, we sold hundreds and hundreds of books. Same with the Academy Museum, So they, we figure we can do. Both venues figure we can sign 100 books in an hour. So the event's 3 hours, and if we have to go a little bit longer, we can go a little bit longer. So, but it's super fun, and it's a great event, and it's just fun to go. And the Academy Museum is incredible, and hop on to their site, and you can get tickets to get the book and get the signing and all that good stuff. And then also it's nice to visit the museum because it's an incredible museum that everybody loves. I'm super proud of it. And fun things to do.
Fun things to do.
Yeah, fun things to do.
Things to do when you're in LA, right? So,
absolutely. So
we'll put the links.
I can't wait to get back to the museum because I'm so excited to be there with the Jaws exhibit. Even though I've seen on social media 3,000 other people moving the shark's mouth and stuff and tail, I want to have a go on that myself.
As you should.
And Howard's already sent me photos from the gift shop, and I'm so desperate to go to the gift shop. They better not sold out all that stuff.
You're going to need to bring an extra bag for going home with all that.
Oh, I'm just going to throw all my clothes away. It's fine.
Just order some more Making Monsters t-shirts.
Yeah, that's all I wear anyway.
Well, guys, this has been a ton of fun. I'm going to make sure that I put those links in the description. So if you're listening to this podcast, go check that out.
Great.
Howard Marshall. This has been not Howard Marshall, but Howard, Marshall. It's been great to speak to you guys again, and best of luck with this book. And go buy it right now. I promise you, if you even remotely like monsters, and as you guys said at the top, I don't know anybody who doesn't, go get this book immediately. You will. Like I said, you will carry it around your house for days and days and days, just flipping through it at your own at your leisure, and then going back to things. So, but guys, best of luck with this book, and we will talk to you again for the third book.
Yeah,
right. There's got to be a third one. Right? It's a trilogy, right?
We'll see.
We'll see.
If there's another strike or pandemic, we're guaranteed a book.
Yeah,
but
we'll
other than
see.
that, that's as far as you can
Yeah,
go.
I got my fingers crossed for zombie apocalypse next.
It's possible, Marshall. Don't wish for that.
Yeah.
It has to be something that we can come back from then. So
Right.
maybe alien invasion.
Yeah. So, but hey, guys, thank you so much. It was a pleasure, and we really appreciate it, and we love being on your podcast. And you guys were great to us. Yeah, you guys were great. You guys were great to us during Masters when we put Masters out. So we really appreciate being invited back. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Pete, did you notice you're in the acknowledgements?
I did notice that. Thank you. I actually told my dad, and he was really impressed. I think he's more impressed with that than the fact that I'm writing my own book. So, but it's no, honestly, it's a really great book. So, all right, guys. Well, Howard, go get some work done. Marshall, go have an afternoon tea. I think it's tea time, right?
It is. It is tea time.
Yeah, it's tea time.
I can smell crumpets.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Cool.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Guys. Bye.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye. Bye.
Well, that wraps it up for this episode of Around the Galaxy. Thank you so much to Howard and to Marshall and for you for checking us out. Remember to check out our website at theSSWnetwork.com so that you can find all of our socials. You can find links to our merch. You can find links to my new book, and you can also join us on Patreon from there. So this has been copyright 2025 Pete in the Seat Studios, and our music is brought to us by the band Apollo's Ghost. May the Force be with you.